Hi there, guys, and welcome to the Cover Zero Roundtable with me, your host, Simon Conboy. Slightly under the weather this week, but we'll push on through. With me today, we've got Arnie.
Hi, guys.
And Dan.
Hello there.
So, before we get started this week, I just want to quickly talk about the glorious wonder. We don't talk about our fantasy league that much.
Oh, do we?
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Hmm.
Named as such because, Arnie, you've made the playoffs every year you've played except one, but you're still yet to win a playoff game. What is that? 0-6 in the playoffs now, I believe.
0-7.
Oh, man. And this time, well, tell them, how did you lose this time?
Well, I was down quite big, and then Russell Wilson and Todd Gurley happened, and it salvaged some, only down by, I think it was 12 points.
Yeah.
I had Rex Burkhead coming into that New England game, and he had me a good game. But I lost by 0.2 points.
Yep.
Which is, if people that are listening don't play fantasy, that's 2 yards. And what makes this even worse is that I forgot to change out Ted Ginn in my lineup for Cooper Kupp, and I would have won that anyway. But Ted Ginn in that game, I don't know if anyone remembers that game, had a rush that went for -3 yards.
It's almost poetic.
That's what lost me the game. And for the 7th year running, I lost another game.
Yeah, I mean, it deserves to be mentioned. It's a truly spectacular run of playoff luck that you've had.
Well, this is probably the worst playoff team I've had, to be honest with you. I mean, my saviours this year was Todd Gurley and Russell Wilson.
That is true. The amount of games that you won just because those two had a really good week. Yeah. And one of the worst receiving cores I've ever seen on a playoff fantasy team.
Well, it should have been good, but who thought Amari Cooper would be this bad?
Yeah, that's fair. But we'll move on to real football and the big story of the week. Of course, Carson Wentz getting injured for the Eagles, blew out his ACL. It's been surgically repaired this week. Of course, he isn't going to be back for the playoffs, like potentially Aaron Rodgers. Do we think Nick Foles gives this team a shot at the Super Bowl? Because I think we all agree they were Super Bowl contenders.
Well, I think I kind of said last week about the, they have won a lot of games against teams under 500 and stuff. But again, I did say if they beat the Rams, they were for real. They beat the Rams. So, but no. I think Carson Wentz, there was a reason he was an MVP candidate. I just don't see him having the same effect with Nick Foles.
Fair enough. Dan?
Pretty much Nick's the Super Bowl ambition in the bud, to be honest with you. Although Foles is a respectable backup, probably one of the better backups in the league at the position. No, I don't see them pulling it off.
I'm the opposite. I actually don't think I wouldn't rule them out, and that's simply because this is a really decent team. Foles is one of the better backups considering the scheme that he's in. I think this is one of the better all-round teams. Their defense has been playing really well this year. They've got the run game. They've got the receivers. I don't think they would have been favourites. I think it'll be tough for them, particularly in the NFC, where they might have to play some other really good teams. But the NFC really, with Wentz being out, is going to be full of defensive teams.
Yeah.
So I can't rule them on that basis. And
if you think about it, like if the Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings managed to both go to the NFC Championship game, who would have thought that game would be backup versus backup?
The Nick Foles, Case Keenum NFC Championship game no one ever thought they'd see.
Who would have thought that?
It's entirely possible, and really that would be a testament to how good those rosters are, because Case Keenum's played very well this year, but he's not a world beater. And I think Foles can have a similar kind of
I would have to see Foles in this offense like this
Yeah, of
week
course.
to kind of give a judge of whether they're contenders or not. I mean, it does change things.
Oh, definitely.
It's massive. But yeah, I think I definitely have to see this week before I can kind of make a full decision. But at the moment, I'd say it's losing too much of an important piece for me.
Yeah, it's incredibly rough on that team. Eagles fans they just can't catch a break.
No. This is what you get when you start tattooing Super Bowl champions on you.
Well, fans should never do that. Let's face it.
Well, there was a Tennessee fan that got AFC South Championship champion on him this year, and look how that turned out.
Yeah,
it's a curse.
Never presupposing sports because injuries take it away. In terms of quarterback news, the other big story is that Aaron Rodgers is back this week with the Packers just about clinging to playoff contention. But I'm sure we can all agree if they win their 3 remaining games, they probably get in at 10-6.
Yeah, and I mean, how many times has Aaron Rodgers run the table? You'd have to expect they can do it.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty bad Packers team for the most part, but that's been the case for a while now. But
if Aaron Rodgers at the helm,
finding ways to win recently, even if it was against a couple of bad teams. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers just changes everything. All of a sudden, Jordy Nelson becomes a massive threat again. They've got a really good receiving core. They've had a bit of a run game recently. The rookie running backs playing quite well. And they're probably the most dangerous offense in the NFC if Aaron Rodgers is healthy.
Yeah.
So do we see them running the table? Do we think Rodgers is going to come back and be the Aaron Rodgers we all expect?
I have to say yes, just because of how many times we've seen it happen.
I'm going to say, yeah, he'll run the table. They'll miss the playoffs.
You think they'll miss the playoffs?
Well, they're 2 games in the hole at the moment. Yes.
Bear in mind, those NFC South teams all have to play one another. They've got to drop games.
Yeah, but it's not just the NFC South, though. The Seahawks. They're 2 games behind the Seahawks.
They're only 1 game behind the Seahawks.
Seahawks are 8 and 5. Packers are 6 and 6.
No, Packers are 7 and 6.
7. Oh, this is the NFL site not updating me as usual.
Yeah, well, I mean, the beauty they've got is the Seahawks have the Rams this weekend, so one of those teams is going to drop a game. It's all very tight. As I've mentioned, the NFC South's very bunched up at the moment. They've all got to play one another. I feel like it's there for them. If they win their 3 games, I'm certain they'll make it in. Yeah. Very rare a team misses out at 10-6.
As me and Dan were discussing earlier, if the Seahawks do win this weekend, the Cardinals are eliminated.
You just had to throw that out now. Like, we couldn't wait until the Cardinals section.
No, we were talking about the playoff scenarios.
Yeah, we did run through a lot of the playoff scenarios. I think the conclusion we came to is the Packers can run the table, but making the playoffs seems to be quite unlikely. Because the deck is fairly stacked against them.
Well,
it could be more unlikely. You could be a Jets fan.
Oh yeah, wait, yeah. Arnie's conclusion for the Jets making the playoffs is the best thing ever. He needs, what was it, Arnie?
For the Jets to make the playoffs, Miami faces Buffalo twice, so they need Miami and Buffalo to tie both games, and the Bills and the Dolphins to lose the other game for the Jets to make the playoffs.
That would be super impressive. And they need more than that just to happen as well, because there's still a bunch of better records than them that they need to lose a bunch.
But they are all but eliminated.
Well, yeah, you can say that for several teams at the moment. I saw like a list of the teams that aren't mathematically eliminated. I could safely say about half of them at least have no realistic shot at the playoffs, and a bunch of them are AFC teams.
Well, yeah. You've still got the 5-8 Bengals sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 5-8, you're not making the playoffs at 8.
Yeah, Arnie, me and I, when we were looking at it earlier, Arnie turned around and went, if the Bills win this week, they eliminate half of the people who are in contention by default if the Bills win.
Yeah, they sure do. And they'd be in a good spot themselves for making it, crazily.
They would.
So, let's move on to the games, unless there's anything else you want to get out there. In fact, no, let's talk about seedings a little bit, because I think this week's really kind of messed that up. It felt like there were a lot of givens last week, particularly the NFC.
The seeding thing... The seeding thing's actually interesting as well, because this is actually one of those things that me and Arnie were discussing earlier in terms of seeding. It's actually unlikely the Bills will make the playoffs because of the last 3 games for the Ravens are Browns, Colts, Bengals. That's 3 wins. The Bills have got Dolphins, Patriots, Dolphins. They'll lose out by a game.
It's certainly possible.
I'm not discounting the fact
the Ravens winning all their games, because I'm still not a big believer in that team. But
no, but it's more likely than most. I mean, at this point, you're looking at the Bills to contest a wild card.
Then you're also making the assumption there that the Titans win a bunch of their games.
Well, the Titans have got the Niners, Rams, and Jags left.
They could certainly lose the Rams and the Jags game.
Yes.
But if the Titans, we worked this out earlier, if the Titans win one game, we pretty much lock it up.
Yeah.
So...
Because then we'd finish 9-7, and we have tiebreakers over the rest of those teams.
Well, we shall see. I wouldn't be all that shocked if the Niners won that one.
No, even would I.
I would be.
We'll get onto that later.
Niners have looked okay the last couple of weeks. But, yeah, well... So, I mean, the NFC is now a real mess. Who's going to be this 1 seed?
Yeah.
With the Vikings having lost, that opens up. You got the Saints, the Panthers could both realistically get one of those 2 seeds. The Eagles are still very much in the driver's seat. And then the Vikings as well. So I don't think we're going to see a change. I still think the Eagles will win at least 2 of their remaining games, even with Foles under centre. And I think similarly for the Vikings, the only sort of hurdle for them will be that game against the Packers. But the Vikings have the advantage of they've got really good tiebreakers against the rest of the field. Other than the Panthers, but they've got the tiebreaker over the Saints. So, do you guys see there being any changes there, or do you think the Eagles and the Vikings will remain in those spots?
The Eagles and the Vikings are going to remain there.
Yeah, I think the Vikings will have the home field over the whole playoffs there.
You think that the Eagles will drop a game or 2?
Yeah.
Well, they have to. They've got a backup under centre.
So if the Vikings.
What, Case Keenum?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the difference
is he's a backup.
Yeah, but the difference is apparently he's played really well.
What the 2017 edition of Case Keenum is, I suppose.
Apart from last week.
Yeah, but who do we see getting into the NFC playoffs to join those 2 then?
I still think the Seahawks are going to make it. However, I think that this week the Seattle face the Rams, right?
Yeah.
So I think, this is kind of spoiler for later, but I think the Seahawks win this one. I'll explain why later.
Injuries and suspensions they've got defensively.
Yeah, I'll explain why when we get onto there. But I think them winning that would then give them the top of that division. And then I reckon they're still going to win this division. And I reckon the Rams will drop a couple of late games. So, but then the Rams will make it in the wild card.
Fair enough. So
then
NFC South teams misses out. And then you're ruling out the Packers as well.
I am ruling out the Packers.
Ruling out the Cowboys.
Obviously, yeah.
Same boat if they run the table.
They are, but I just don't think there's going to be any run the table magic this year. I just think that Carolina defense has been too strong this year, especially when healthy, for them not to miss the playoffs.
Oh yeah, I see Carolina making it in.
So that's my other spot. So I'm pretty sure I'm sticking with the same one that I've been sticking with.
Yeah, I think the teams at the top of the division now, for me, I think they all make it in.
Yeah.
I think the 1 and 2 seed remain the same. But for me, I've got the Packers and the Panthers making it. The Seahawks, to me, just have too many injuries. I think they lose this one to the Rams. I mean, if Bobby Wagner doesn't play, they're missing half their secondary. They're missing their best linebacker. They're missing half their defensive line.
Yeah.
And the Rams' offense is very good. So yeah. I think they'll end up missing out. And I think those two teams will end up making it in. Same reasons for the Panthers. How about you, Dan?
Hold on. Let's have a look at. 1 and 2 seed. I've got the Vikings and the Eagles. I can see the Eagles dropping that last game of the year against the Cowboys. Then I'd keep in the Saints and the Rams. I don't see the Seahawks winning either. Panthers, I don't know, it's difficult to call. Because the Seahawks should beat the Cowboys and the Cardinals.
Don't forget Zeke is back in week 16.
No one cares.
You say
their offense with Zeke has been 10 times different.
Okay, sorry, what week is he back?
Week 16, next week.
So the Seahawks game.
Yeah. The Seahawks who have been gashed by the run this year.
Yeah, no, I don't care.
They got gashed by the Titans by the run. They're going to get gashed by Zeke.
Yeah, but if the Cowboys drop the Raiders game, they're all but eliminated anyway.
Do you see them dropping
doesn't
that game?
Stop teams playing.
Yes, it's the Cowboys without Zeke against the Raiders. Anything could happen.
Yeah, anything could happen. But I mean,
I can see the Packers sneaking in. And what, 3 games left? They'll be 10-6. The thing is, I don't know what spot they would take. They'd either steal the Falcons one.
Well, you've got to bear in mind, if they beat the Panthers and win out, they would make it ahead of the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm going to take my playoffs for the NFC would go Viking in order of seeding. Vikings, Eagles, Saints, Rams, Falcons, Packers, Seahawks.
Falcons.
Yeah.
You really are a believer in that team.
I mean, have you seen the last 3 games? So they're winning tonight because, this week because Bucks. They'll probably beat the Saints or lose to the Saints, but they'll probably definitely beat the Panthers. So.
But that would have them at 9, and if they drop one of them games, they're another one of those teams. They really need to win all of them.
Oh, they'd be at 10 and they'd be at 10-6.
Yeah, they'd be 10-6.
And the Panthers would be. I think
the Panthers would end up also, depending what you've got.
They'd be 10-6 as well, which means the last game of the season would decide it between the two.
It'll be fascinating.
Yeah, no.
Well, in terms of my NFC seeding, I still think the Eagles will win out. So I've got Eagles, Vikings, followed by the Rams, then the Saints, and then the Panthers. Actually, no, the Packers, then the Panthers, because the Packers get the tiebreaker. Pushes them up to the 5 seed. So the AFC, I think things are a bit more clear-cut. We know who the top 2 seeds are going to be. Unless anyone believes the Jags might steal that's one of those spots from the Pats.
No.
So we don't see the Steelers winning, basically.
I see the Steelers winning.
God no.
But I don't see the Jags taking that spot.
Fair enough. So we'll all put the Jags as the 3 seed then, and then Steelers.
I've got the Steelers. I've got the Steelers as. I've got the Steelers at the 1 seed.
Can I pick the Steelers over the Pats? I just don't know. Either way, pending the outcome of that game.
10-2 in history.
Tomlin's Steelers have just really struggled with Brady lately. I say lately, for several years now. So we got those. We all still see the Jags winning the AFC South?
Unfortunately, yes.
So they'll go in as the 3 seed then. I don't think it's realistic to have an AFC West team catching them. And we all hopped on board that Chargers bandwagon for the AFC West?
No.
Is anyone still the Chief?
I've got the Chiefs.
We were actually looking at this earlier, and Arnie made a very good case in point, which was the Chiefs have got the run of the table, bar next week. After that, Dolphins, Broncos, last 2 games, easy. Chargers, on the other hand, are the Chargers, and they've got the Jets and the Raiders. And if there's a team that drops that last game to the Raiders at home, it's the Chargers. It's just...
But if the Chargers win this weekend, they've got the Chiefs. I mean, this game to me is likely for all the marbles.
This is for all the marbles.
Because
However,
this will be the tiebreak.
My AFC prediction is...
And the Chargers are playing so well right now.
Yeah. But my prediction takes into account something else.
In fact, let me just put this into a little bit of perspective for this particular game. You've got this current Chiefs secondary going up against Rivers, who might be the hottest quarterback in the league right now in terms of his level of play.
I wouldn't say might be. I think he definitely is right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on absolute fire the last month. I'm just saying. But fair enough. If you want to stick with the Chiefs, being consistent, been with them all year.
I'm just sticking with the Chiefs. I just think, it kind of ruins the outcome of what I'm thinking with this game. But I see basically the Chiefs and the Chargers losing 1 out of their next 3 games. I feel like the Chiefs is going to be the one the Chargers are going to drop is this week. And then obviously, as we had worked out last week, the Chiefs take the tiebreaker because of division record. Well, actually, no, the division record and the conference record and everything like that will be the same. It will then go down to something else, but the Chiefs take it.
There it is. So who do we have as the wild cards then in a very muddled field? We go the current group.
I mean, I can't. It pains me to say this, but I can't go with Tennessee right now.
See, this is going to reflect what I was going to say. I actually see the AFC shaping up with the same top 2 seeds, Patriots in first place, then the Jags, then the Chargers, then the Chiefs, then the Bills. I don't see Tennessee making it. They'll drop those last 2 games.
So you see both the Ravens and the Titans dropping out.
Yeah.
So you've got the Chargers winning that division.
I've got the Chargers winning the division.
So you've got the Chargers winning this weekend.
I've got the Chargers winning this weekend, but the Chiefs make it through the wild card on conference record because they've got a better conference record than the Titans do. That gives them the wild card spot.
Yeah.
Interesting. And the Ravens drop out as well.
Well, yeah. They're the Ravens.
Who have you got making it?
You have
the Chiefs
and the Bills.
Chiefs, Chargers, Jags, Bills.
It's an interesting one.
The Ravens, I just don't believe in. Yeah, they may win that against the Browns, but it's the Ravens. They could easily lose those last 3 games.
I've got the. You know what? I'm just because I have to go stick with the Titans. I have to. I can't not. We're gonna. I mean, you guys saw this the other day that obviously I put on Facebook about the current form of the Titans and my little rant about stuff. And I mean, I'll get a bit more into that later. But just with the form of the Titans right now, I can't, especially the offense, not really the defense. The defense has kept us in game. But the offensive side of things, we're struggling to beat teams that, I mean, one of those teams hasn't won a game this year, and we struggled to beat them. And it's not even like when the Chargers did it, and they did it comfortably. You know, you never thought it was in doubt. When we did it, it was like you thought that game was in doubt at every moment.
Well, the thing is, it's hard to have confidence in the Titans at the minute just because the offense is that bad. I mean, we are currently looking, I think it's fair to say, at one of the worst 4 or 5 offensive units in terms of their on-the-field play.
Yeah, I mean, as we discussed earlier as well, Mariota leads the league in interceptions right now. I mean, apparently he's
I mean, it's just the eyeball test.
But that is still costing him games. And I mean, his mechanics and everything has just been terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, apparently he's still dealing with his ankle injury.
I'm not fussed about the stats.
But his mechanics
on a weekly basis, and that Titans offense at the minute is as bad as this league has. Yeah,
I mean, apparently he's still dealing with his broken leg from last year. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. It hasn't come straight from the Tennessee room, so I'm not sure if it is a true one. But obviously, he's been dealing with injuries all year. The offense has been dealing with injuries all year. Whether that's having an effect or not, I don't know. I mean, it's probably playing a bit of an effect, but it can't be having to the effect of where it's one of the worst offenses in the league. But still, I see us at least winning a game. We will pull something out. And then I think the other seeding will go to the Ravens.
Yeah, I've got the same. As much as I do not have much confidence in those teams, I don't have any confidence in a lot of the teams behind them. I wouldn't be shocked if the Chiefs snuck in. If one of the Titans or Ravens collapses, could well sneak in.
I mean, you forget as well, if they finish on tie-break record, then the Ravens have the tie-break over the Chiefs.
Well.
Although, in another shocking revelation, if the Chargers make the playoffs, the Chargers will be in the AFC Championship game. I'm calling it.
Oh, I wouldn't be shocked if they made the playoffs, if they went to the title game at all. They're currently one of the better teams in the league. Playing very well. They're like the reverse Chiefs.
Yeah, literally have been.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, because then a lot of the Chiefs' losses were down to them. Actually, no, the Chiefs losing that Jets game, that was like early season Chargers. So yeah, the comparison holds true. So let's get into this week's slate of games. We got Saturday games this week
and Friday game. There's a Thursday night, a Friday night, a Saturday night, a Sunday night, a Monday night.
Really? I thought it was just 2 games on Saturday. I'm sure it's just.
No, Arnie's right. 1 game Thursday, 2 games Saturday, game Sunday, 1 game Monday.
That's what I'm saying it is. Arnie was saying there was a game on Friday.
Oh no, I think he misspoke.
I'm reading it from the UK site, that's why.
Oh, yeah, that'd be why. So, first up, possibly one of the least interesting. I say possibly, definitely one of the least interesting games of the week. We've got the Broncos headed to Indy to take on the Colts.
Exciting.
Yeah,
I agree with Arnie's reaction there.
No one's going to be staying up late for this one.
The most irrelevant game on this list.
Well, the Broncos defense looked pretty good this week.
Finally got a win after, God, that was a long losing streak. And they got a shutout.
Yeah, the defense looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, Trevor Siemian didn't have loads of turnovers. So I think that's been the issue with him this year. If he doesn't turn the ball over, he looks like a competent player. And the Colts, it's hard to really judge that game against Buffalo because the conditions were ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, it was glorious. I love a good snow game, but I'm not going to...
Let's just put that game on Frank Gore. I mean, come on. 36 carries for a guy that age.
Yeah, well, in Frank Gore's case, age is just a meaningless number.
Yes.
I mean, it is crazy that he's still going strong. And really, that game just came down to the Bills have a better snow running back because
Yeah.
maybe the best snow-based running back ever.
He was in that Eagles-Lions one a few years back.
Yeah, he went ham in that game too.
Sean McCoy loves the snow.
Apparently so. But yeah, it's hard to read too much into that one. No conditions where you could pass the ball. Both of these teams having disastrous seasons. One that maybe we would have expected to. Both teams have quarterback problems. The Colts maybe have a way out in future. The Broncos, I'm not so sure. So who do we see winning this one?
Flip a coin and then I tell you.
I'm going to go with the Broncos. I think Jacob Brissett's been beaten up this year. I think he gets beaten up a heck of a lot more in this one.
Yeah, I'll go with defense. I'll go with the Broncos.
Dan, you're not asleep thinking about this one, are you?
I'm just gonna go with I don't care.
Flip a coin.
You got to pick a team.
Flip a coin. Heads for Broncos, tails for Colts.
I'm gonna go with ND because it would be more embarrassing for the Broncos. Maybe John Elway will actually shut the F up for once.
Maybe. And bear in mind, the Colts, they really don't like John Elway.
This is true.
Yeah.
And they are at Indy.
Yeah. I'm sure if he's there, he'll be getting booed. Next up, we got the Bears and the Lions. Lions still in with a very, very outside shot at the playoffs. Got a not particularly impressive win against my Bucks at the weekend. Stafford having to play through the injury. It was a very much a typical Lions game. They got a bunch of turnovers and Stafford threw the ball a hell of a lot. The run game was bad. They gave up a ton of yardage. Standard fare, your 2017 Lions. And the Bears, they went ham on the Bengals.
Yes, they did.
They just basically that was one of them simple games where the game was won at the line of scrimmage. Trubisky didn't have to do too much. Jordan Howard went nuts. The Bengals just couldn't do anything against that front seven. Big win for the Bears. Still can't see John Fox coaching this team next season, but it was one of the most John Fox style types of win you'll ever see.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I actually think the Bears will win this one.
I think the Lions will win this one and keep their very slim playoff chances alive for one more.
I just think it's a bad matchup for the Lions. The Bears aren't going to give them too many opportunities to get those turnovers. The Lions are one of the worst run defenses in football. And I like the Bears' chances of getting to Stafford enough. I mean, it's going to be on Stafford to win this game by himself. That seems like a given. But I think the Bears will do it.
I'm just going to go with the more experienced quarterback here. Trubisky hasn't looked great. Okay, yeah, they've got the benefit of this run game in Chicago, but
yeah, I'm somewhat willing.
I just feel like
the doubt because the receivers there are bad.
Yeah, I just feel like when Trubisky has kind of thrown the ball this year, it's kind of been, hold a breath, like gasping.
Yeah, it has.
Just in case, But yeah, I've just got to go with the more experienced quarterback in this one, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Dan?
I've got the Lions taking this for similar reasons. I'm not going to doubt Matthew Stafford even with the injury, and it's still a very mediocre to bad Bears team. So, and the Lions have got something to play for. The Bears don't. So, to use a horrible cliche that I detest, but the Lions will want it more.
Fair enough. Moving on, we've got possibly one of the most interesting games of the week, finishing up that Saturday night schedule, as the Chargers head to KC to take on the Chiefs. As I've mentioned earlier, likely to be for all the marbles come the end of the year in the AFC West.
I think we all kind of gave our predictions on this one.
Yeah, the Chargers are one of the hottest teams in the league right now. They hammered the Redskins in that one. They had Rivers on the bench in the fourth quarter. It feels like they could have put up 50 or 60 if they really wanted. And I just felt bad for Cousins because that O-line is a shambles right now. And I'm sure he'll be seeing Joe Bosa in his nightmares.
Well, yeah. What a heck of a player as well.
Yeah, as for the Chiefs,
Right.
I mean, I wasn't particularly impressed with them. I thought the Raiders were really poor. But Kareem Hunt got going for the first time in a while. So that's got to be a positive for him.
Yeah, and Tyreek Hill as well.
Yeah, well, Tyreek Hill's been having a great year.
Yeah. But I think it's just kind of more noticeable because all their playmakers sort of this week on offense kind of got going, and I think
That's
when
how it
that
works.
happens,
Every
when that happens
they
with
win,
this Chiefs
all three
team,
of those guys contribute.
it's very kind of hard to stop and factor in. I mean, for that reason alone, I mean, I know the Chargers are hot right now, but I just think this will be kind of a final sort of hurdle for them.
I've got very little faith in this Chiefs defense at this moment.
I do as well, but
but the Raiders' offense is just bad. So I think it was as much a function of that as the Chiefs playing well. I just think the Chargers will be too much for them. I think this Chargers offense is one of the best in the league at the moment. They've got a lot of weapons. I mean, Hunter Henry, Antonio Gates. They got a lot of depth at receiver.
Yeah.
And Rivers is playing out of his mind. So and you know, I've been the head of this bandwagon since even at 0-4 when I said I wouldn't be shocked if they had a good season.
This is true.
I still can't believe the predictions worked out.
Yeah. I mean, I've still got the Chiefs taking this one. You know, as I said in the earlier show, I just feel like this is a game. I mean, both teams have to have this game, but I just feel like this will be a lock for the Chiefs. I think they know it will be pretty much a lock.
Fair enough. Dan?
I've got the Chargers taking this, even if it is at Arrowhead.
Rivers will probably go home and have another kid to celebrate.
Yeah, but no, I trust that Chargers D to get work done, and the Chiefs, the offense has been kind of exposed recently, and I think the Chargers D will capitalise on that. So, provided they make no boneheaded Chargers decisions, I can see them walking away with this.
You mean the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last time. Next up, a game that could have been so promising. Had one of the most unfortunate injuries of the season not happened as the Texans head to Jacksonville, take on the division-leading Jags, the Texans. They're
still weird to say that.
Yeah, it is. And the Texans just, it's hard to really judge Bill O'Brien on this year. So many injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, I've just got to talk about how great DeAndre Hopkins is because we've not really mentioned him enough.
Yeah.
Man, is he good.
He's good at the football.
Yeah, I mean, I did my receiver rankings before the season, just so people are kind of aware. He's number 2 on my list now. If I was to do the list today, he'd be number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, the productivity with some of the rubbish he's had to deal with is shocking.
I mean, for this Texans team is obviously as a division rival, it's kind of hard for me to say, but it's one of the most heartbreaking things to happen to this team is the amount of injuries they've had. If they didn't have these injuries, they walk this division.
Yeah, maybe not walk it because the Jags' record is very good, but I'd have more confidence in the Texans than anyone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even remember off the top of my head what happened with them last weekend. No, they lost to the Niners, and you had the Tom Savage thing. I think I just tried to forget the Tom Savage incident. That was
brutal.
That was one of the scarier things I've seen on an NFL field.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. He must be on IR, sure.
Yeah, you'd have to assume so. I haven't seen anything about it.
I saw the league's investigating it for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to even evaluate the Texans at this point. Jadeveon Clowney's playing really well. DeAndre Hopkins is playing really well. The rest of the mess because of injury. Maybe next year. As for the Jags, impressive win over the Seahawks. I mean, outside of Russell Wilson's heroics in the fourth, the Jags handled them in this game. They were clearly the better team on the day.
Yeah, they did. They really did.
However, the end of the game was two different levels of absolute bullcrap. Let's be honest here. You got the blatant tripping call in that game, and the unsportsmanlike.
Oh, that hold on that last drive. Yeah, that should be.
Yeah, I mean, if that's called, Seahawks may have won, but either way, I'll give the Jags something though. They stayed classy in that win, so they endeared themselves to me with that win against the Seahawks.
And stand by like Blake Bortles has been playing quite well the last few weeks. Like Bortles was pretty good in this game.
I like the way Blake Bortles playing to an average level is one of those things that's not a given in this league.
No, he played at an above average level in this one. Like he's been slightly above average the last few weeks.
Woo. But no, I've got the Jags taking this. This is too easy.
We live in a world where Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl
on the back of one of the greatest players, two of the greatest players, and one of the greatest defenses of all time.
This Jags defense is pretty great.
Is it 2000 Ravens great? No, it's not. Don't even start thinking about it.
It's hard to compare because it is very, like, whilst it's not that long ago, it is a very different era of football. Because the way that Ravens team worked was basically no one can run on them, and then they'll just beat up your quarterback a bunch.
But you can run on the Jags.
Yeah, but you can't pass on them. Because they'll murder your quarterback and they'll intercept the football a bunch. And there's no weakness in this Jags defense right now. They're the most complete group in the league alongside the Vikings.
I still think they need to be properly tested against an elite offense. But...
Well, the Seahawks have had an elite passing offense this year.
No, they've had Russell Wilson doing Russell Wilson things.
All right, yeah, Russell Wilson, and to be fair, Wilson's receiving group is good.
Yeah,
Paul Richards is an NFL like a legit player.
Well, I think
Jimmy Graham's had a better season.
Well, I think before we move this on, I think the Seahawks receivers benefit from the Aaron Rodgers effect. But anyway, let's.
I think that'd be given in Doug Baldwin's case be a discredit. I think he's a
no. It's the Aaron Rodgers effect. But to keep this train rolling, Jags win.
Oh yeah, Jags win. Jags win, and whoever plays quarterback for the Texans might die.
Yeah, I've got the Jags win in this one. And with that, I think they clinch playoff spot.
They do.
Yeah, they would.
Oh, by the way, if Deshaun Watson was playing, by the way, Texans win.
Maybe.
Yeah, but he's not.
I know.
Next, we got the Ravens heading to Cleveland. Maybe
Ravens lose. Ravens lose.
No, Ravens. I went with the Browns 2 weeks in a row. I'm not going with them a third time.
I will pick up.
And their offense has looked a lot better with him there.
It's true.
It has, but I'm not going with the Browns 3 weeks running.
No, don't worry, Arnie. I'll pick up.
They had their chance last week.
No, it's fine. I will pick up where Arnie left off. I've got the Browns winning this. Because Ravens.
I can't. They had their chance last week.
Yeah, that was their week. Ravens win.
Don't be wrong. I think the Browns have a shot in this one because this Ravens offense.
I think the Browns will do what they've done for the past few weeks, and it's get hot early and then just crumble and do Browns things. Alex
Collins has been really good for the Ravens.
He has a good-looking running back they've got.
When did that come from? But they needed it because this passing.
Oh yeah.
Anyone. But yeah, the Ravens defense, they're for real. And yeah, I think they'll get the win here.
Yep.
Great effort against the Steelers as well.
Oh yeah.
But Antonio Brown. It's just what he does. So next up, we got probably to get one of the other contenders for Game of the Week. I say probably, definitely. As Aaron Rodgers is back, making the Packers fun to watch again. So this is good. And it's Carolina to take on the Panthers. Packers have
big
to win.
Implications here.
This is such a big game as well because both teams have everything to play for and everything to lose. If the Packers lose this one game, they're eliminated.
Yeah, the Packers are out, and if the Panthers lose, then it makes things difficult for them.
Yeah,
so,
since the team coming up that will challenge them for a wildcard spot is the Packers, they'll lose the tiebreaker.
Yeah, and you'll also have the Falcons just there as well. So potentially a whole bunch of teams, to be honest. So that Packers, I mean, we mentioned it briefly there with the Browns. They escaped last week in easily DeShone Kaiser's best performance as an NFL player. Hundley basically did nothing until the fourth quarter for the most part. Packers' run game's been, as I mentioned earlier, much improved though. I think with Rodgers back, this offense is going to be really tough to stop. But that's what makes this matchup so good because this Panthers D is pretty horrifying.
Oh, this is going to be the biggest test they have all year. You've got a D that's pretty good. That's got to face against Aaron Rodgers returning from injury with his back up against the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's Brady angry face and then there's Aaron Rodgers with his back up against the wall. Both are the two most terrifying things to face.
It's for that reason I've got the Packers winning this because
screw the Panthers.
I mean, obviously I've got my dislike for the Panthers, but I do not bet against Aaron Rodgers when this team has to win. He is Mr. Drag my team to the playoffs in spite of the fact the rest of the team doesn't want to be there.
Yep, and then lose to the Cardinals.
Well, not this year, but
no, I've got the Packers for this.
Credit. They won a really good, tough game against the Vikings. That was my kind of game, by the way. Really enjoyed that.
I've got the Packers for this one, but I still don't have them making the playoffs.
Fair enough. What did we all think of that Panthers Vikes game? We all watched it.
It's a good game. It was a good game. I mean, I don't think the D performed terrible for the Vikings, but I just think they got let down by Keenum.
Keenum didn't have his best game, but he was under a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
some of those O-line injuries, I think, hurt them. To me,
Panthers D has been really good.
The Vikings D gave up some big plays.
Yeah,
in this one. That was the difference to me.
It's the running plays that they gave up early.
A couple of those plays that were made in this game were just those like only Cam Newton or Russell Wilson type plays.
Yeah.
The 60-yard run, and there was the touchdown throw to Funches, where, I mean, I don't know what was going on. He ran around like a headless chicken for who knows how long before he unfolded that one. So, yeah, it's hard to prepare for that stuff. It really is. So we'll move on. But yeah, I really enjoyed that game. One of my games of the season. So I'm going to do that list at some point. So next up, we've got a surprisingly maybe relevant.
No, this game is incredibly relevant. Me and Arnie were discussing this earlier. If the Bills win, so facing the Dolphins, if the Bills win, they eliminate about half the guys in the hunt just with one win. That's half the teams in the hunt gone.
Well, yeah, for me, I don't think the Dolphins have a shot. I think it's very unrealistic that they get in. So, whereas the Bills, they need it. I think if the Dolphins win, both of these teams are done.
Yeah.
And if Tyrod Taylor won't be playing, will he? So, I think the Dolphins will do it. And we just got to quickly mention, man, they handled the Patriots on Monday.
Yes, they did.
That's because Brady's cursed in Miami.
Cutler played really well.
Yeah, he would have thought Cutler looked better than Brady.
Yeah, God, that's crazy. And this Xavier Howard, he's gone nuts the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Also, who doesn't love Midget coming up with a jump ball in the end zone? Like that was wonderful. Yeah, Jay Cutler was great. It showed you that you beat Brady by beating him up, and the Dolphins did. They put a licking on him.
Yeah.
So great job them. Where was this earlier in the season? Kenyon Drake as well had one of the runs of the season.
Oh yeah, that was a great run.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. You'll always get me when you have a spin move and a stiff arm in like the same run. And Bills, they won the snow game. Not much to say there. LaShawn McCoy's really good in snow. I think the Dolphins will win this, I think the Dolphins are going to win and make everyone's lives a lot easier.
What? Because if the Dolphins win, they eliminate the Bills and basically themselves from the playoffs.
The Dolphins have played a lot better the last few weeks after that horrific run they were on. And, I don't know what the Bills are doing.
I don't trust Jay Cutler to turn up 2 games in a row. I just don't.
So you're betting on Joe Webb or Nathan Peterman?
Well, I just don't trust. I don't trust Jay Cutler to win 2 in a row. Although the Dolphins beating the Pats is a bad omen for the Steelers. When we get to that game, I'll explain why. I just don't trust Jay Cutler to put in a good performance 2 weeks in a row. He probably went to the locker room afterwards, smoked, had a smoke, and went, "My job here is done," and that's it. He's done for the season. He beat Tom Brady. He's good.
Fair enough. Arnie, who are you going with?
I've got the Dolphins winning this one. Just Nathan Peterman. I mean,
he played okay before he got injured.
I think.
That's hot again. That's no.
My problem is I'm really, really pulling for a Music City Miracle game rematch in the playoffs, so I'm biased a little bit.
Fair enough. So next up, we got the Bengals and the Vikings.
Vikings win. Move on.
Mike Zimmer taking on his former team. The Bengals got hammered. Their season's over. I think Marvin Lewis is done. Vikings, I think they'll be peeved off after that loss because, man, they had the number 1 seed in their grasp. They're at home. I think they win this game pretty comfortably.
Yep. Bengals are one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Really flat team. Yeah, the Bengals O-line against his Vikes D-line. No chance.
Oh, actually, funnily enough, talking about bad teams in the NFL, obviously Browns by far the worst. I'd actually put the Bengals in second place. I actually think the 49ers are better than the Bengals.
Have you watched the Giants this year?
I said teams.
Yeah, I'd say the Giants are worse than the Bengals this year.
If the Giants are a team, then I'm president of the United States. They're not a team. I don't know what that is.
You just forgot about the Giants.
No, I didn't.
So you think the Bengals are worse than the Giants?
No, they're not worse than the Giants, but the Giants are a non-factor. They're worse than the Browns.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, they are.
So we've all got Vikings. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Simple one. So we've got the Cards heading to the Redskins in one of the most irrelevant games of the week.
This isn't irrelevant. The Cardinals will win and give me another very slim ray of hope to torture me until that final game against the Seahawks of the season.
You are aware, right, for the Cardinals to make the playoffs, you need the Buccaneers to win out.
Yeah. I am aware of that we'll get eliminated even if we win this. If the I think it's the Rams or the Seahawks, if either one. I think if the
Seahawks win,
the Cardinals are eliminated. I am aware.
And if the Panthers win, you're eliminated.
Yeah, I am aware of these scenarios, and I need the Buccaneers to beat the Falcons by some miracle.
And if the Falcons win, you're eliminated.
Yeah.
Either way, we'll talk about performance. Well, I'll let you talk about this one, or you two.
Actually, I'll start off because this is going to be funny. We shouldn't have won. I don't know how we won. It was the most boring game I've watched all year. Titans suck.
Your offense sucked as well.
Perspective on this one. Both of these defenses.
The difference is
the offensive play was awful in this one from both teams.
Well, that's the thing.
It was, but at least one of them got a touchdown, I suppose.
Yeah, but the thing is...
Yeah, the team that lost.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, hold on. Our offense may suck, but our QB is a third stringer. Yours is first round draft pick in his third year with all the tools
With
around
about
him.
3 injuries. Yeah, with about 3 injuries.
But still got all the tools around him, and that exotic smash mouth, that worked well, didn't it?
Yeah,
the
I mean, I'll
Cardinals
get
have
onto
been
that later.
tough to run on as of late.
Yeah, they have.
And Chandler Jones is having himself a season. Like, if the Cardinals were, good, he'd have a legit shot at defensive MVP.
Oh no! As soon as Taylor Lewan went down in that game, all
Chandler
you
Jones
saw
was just in the
was
background all day.
oh yeah. I mean, he was doing well against Lewan, getting a bit of pressure, no sacks of course. And then as soon as Lewan went down, I think both me and Arnie went, uh-oh. I hope Mariota likes his legs. Why? Sack, sack, sack.
Yeah, Chandler Jones having a heck of a year. Not really mentioned him too much, but definitely want to throw that one out there. Stuff to build on for this Cardinals team, it feels like. They're not good, but they're not as big a tire fire as we perhaps thought a while ago.
Yeah.
We need to, obviously, the defense needs an issue to be addressed. Why we suddenly remembered, wait, hold on, we're the Cardinals. People aren't supposed to be running on us. We've remembered this for the past 2 games, apparently. Obviously, still got holes in the secondary. Not impressed with Buda Baker this year at all. And the offense is woeful. No David Johnson. We'll reassess next year. And if we don't draft...
I mean, the offense is basically Larry Fitzgerald and the second and third string Cardinals offense at this point.
Yeah, and if we don't draft O-linemen, or at least trade or free agency some O-linemen, I will go to Arizona myself.
Well, there's going to be a bunch of teams competing with you for those, because if I feel the same about the Bucks. But we'll speak quickly on the link to Gruden. This is another one of those teams that's just been sabotaged by injury, it feels like to me.
Yeah.
I mean, they're down to fourth string running back. Their receivers are in and out of the lineup. Terrell Pryor was just that was a total bust of a signing.
Yep.
And the defense is just changing every week, it seems. Crippled O-line. I think the Cardinals will win this one.
Yeah, the Cardinals will win this one against their future QB.
Bold.
No, the Cardinals already have their future QB.
No, we don't. We're getting Cousins.
Nah, it's going to be Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah. Did Blaine Gabbert beat the Rams? No, he's not my future QB. I don't want him. Get him out of Arizona. And while you're at it, get rid of Drew Stanton as well.
Do you not think you'd be happy to keep Gabbert as the backup?
If Gabbert's legs...
He's shown any this year that he's a pretty competent backup.
No. If I can surgically remove Gabbert's legs and give him to Carson Palmer, then yes, keep him. But until that happens, no, get rid of both of them. Don't want them. I've had enough of this quarterback.
He's done fine as a third stringer.
Did he beat the Rams?
A lot of people haven't beat the Rams this year.
Okay, are they my team? No. He didn't beat the Rams. He threw 2 picks. He converted an Arizona pick into 6 points for the Rams.
That was impressive.
Yeah, no, he's not the QB of the future. He is who I thought he was. He's trash. Get rid of him.
I think he's a viable backup. So we'll move on anyway. We've all got the Crads in this one.
No, I got Washington.
Ah.
The spike pick.
Yeah, it does feel that way.
No, Blaine Gabbert will throw a couple of picks.
The spike pick.
He went a whole game without throwing a pick. He's throwing one.
That is true. He is due. Oh, dang it.
But yes, slightly spiked.
So what was the next game?
Eagles, Giants. Eagles win. Next game.
Yeah, the Giants are a mess. Nick Foles will get a win here.
Yeah.
I really don't feel like there's much more to say. We kind of covered the Wentz thing earlier. Eagles good, Giants bad.
And move on.
The game after that is what I suspect might be a surprise upset game. It's the Jets at the Saints, although it is at the Superdome.
Nah, no chance.
No
it's
chance.
Either Bryce Petty or Hackenberg. Like Josh McCown's,
McCown's injured, isn't he?
McCown is gone. This is a team
no chance.
shut out by the Broncos. They got no
Yeah, the Saints win again. This is another easy one to talk about. Saints win, move on.
All right,
Saints
yeah.
win. Alvin Kamara puts up like 5 million yards from scrimmage.
Yeah.
Saints win.
Fair enough. Saints win. I agree. Then we've got basically the game for the NFC West title, pretty much.
Rightly so.
Rams Seahawks at Seattle. And as we've
Now,
as we've recognised, and me and Arnie have pointed out,
when I said I think the Seahawks are going to take this division. The reason I said that, and I said I would explain later on, and now is that later. Jared Goff all year has struggled with crowd noise.
he even struggled in Arizona.
Yeah. He will struggle again in Seattle, and we all know the sound noise in Seattle. And for that reason alone, Seahawks win.
Yep.
I want to talk about the games these teams are involved in. But what did we make of the Seahawks strop at the end?
It was unsportsmanlike and unclassy and scumbaggy.
Yes, it was.
And the guy got a pint of beer thrown at his head twice. It was well funny.
He overreacted a little. It's not that uncommon that players get stuff thrown at them.
Well, when your team, I'm sorry, hold on. When your team, like, it's unacceptable to throw shit at athletes. That's a given. However, expect it when your team had 3 unsportsmanlike conducts, 2 rejections off the first victory formation.
Yeah, I've never seen.
And you had the most scumbag thing I've ever seen from a scumbag, which was Bennett rolling up the centre on purpose. No.
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing it because obviously, as a Bucks fan, we were the last team to try something like that against the Giants those years ago with Greg Schiano. But I don't like it. To me, it felt like it was, albeit a maybe cheap tactic, a frowned upon tactic that the Bucks were using to try and actually get the ball back and win the game. This just felt like the Seahawks being like sort of taking matters into their own hands and being a bit dirty to me.
I mean, let's be honest here. I don't care what anyone says. The Jags outplayed the Seahawks. That's all there was to it, as far as I'm concerned.
Talked about it earlier. The Seahawks kind of got a bit lucky on a couple of bombs at the end to keep the game alive, but they were outplayed.
Yeah, they didn't deserve to win, even if they had somehow forced the fumble, which, by the way, I think on record, pushing the victory formation to force a fumble was worked, once in a million?
It's worked in college a few times, basically.
So, I could put you in college. But no, it was a scumbag thing to do. I want the Seahawks to lose and miss the playoffs because of it, but they're playing at home, hosting the Rams. Probably not going to happen.
I think the Rams will win this one. I mean, the Rams played really well against the Eagles. The offense did a much better job than I expected. And I can't put too much stock in the Seattle defense at the minute. There's just too many injuries. They've got the suspensions. There's not enough depth. I think the Rams will have enough to get it done. And once again, we'll have Russell Wilson running around like headless chicken.
Well, that's to be expected, yeah.
Aaron Donald and Robert Quinn. I think the Rams win this one. And I think they'll do so convincingly.
Oh, I hope they win this one, but, you know, Quest Field is always an issue for teams.
It's not Quest Field, it's CenturyLink now. The Clink.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's the Clink. Oh, man, I'm like living like 5 years ago, my bad.
Yeah. Got to get that corporate sponsorship in. So what's next, Quinch?
It is Titans 49ers, the game that Arnie seems to think the Titans will lose. I genuinely think they may very well drop this.
Shocked. I've said all year that the Niners to me are an example of a team that is well coached because they're playing above their talent level, particularly with all these injuries on the defensive side of the ball.
And Garoppolo is sharp.
Yeah, he's looked good. Considering what's around him, he's looked good. I think Carlos Hyde's been playing quite well as well. The only reason I'm pretty confident that Tennessee will win, a good win for the Niners, 2-game win streak, hardcore. The reason I think the Titans win this is simply their defense is playing very well. I think they'll put a ton of heat on Garoppolo, be able to force a couple of mistakes, and I think they'll get just enough. I think the loss last week proves to be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to hope for the Titans' sake of things that was one of those losses where we've got a gut check and we can get going. Yeah. I mean, to start off with that game, Lawan was injured at the beginning of that game because he was having back spasms all day. And I mean, I know from someone that's had back spasms and stuff, that would have played on his mind and he wasn't going to play up to his ability anyway. Mario has been dealing with injuries all year, as we have said earlier. But I think the Titans will manage to get past this game. I think the 49ers will come in a bit cocky. The one thing I do want the Titans to do is stick with the hot running back. We've done a really bad job of not sticking with the hot running back. Quinns, you mentioned this earlier with the exotic smash mouth and you like to bash it and stuff. But that first quarter, Henry was running all over you. And we didn't run the ball in the second half.
But that's 1 out of 4 quarters.
Yeah, we didn't run the ball in the second half.
Wait, hold on. But that little running game, how many points did it amount to? 6?
What, the run game?
Mm-hmm.
We got a touchdown out of the run game.
So 6.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They barely had the ball in the second half.
Yeah, we didn't have the ball in the second half. The offense was so flat in the second half. When Mariota went down with that, because he got that injury on that hit, that affected his play the whole game. And you can understand why by looking at the hit. But I think they'll be able to bounce back this week.
It would be funny.
If they come out flat, you've got to be concerned.
Yeah.
If the Titans don't come out and look motivated, then...
Yeah.
Considering what your next 2 games are, the Titans ended up 8-8 and missing the playoffs is really realistic.
Also, I do have to say, because I did rant about this one as well earlier on Facebook as well, but I have to say the one thing that annoyed me the most about that game was the final play call on 4th and 10.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've been calling for Terry Robitsky's head all year, and if that's not something that gets him fired, I don't know what will. And if people don't know what happened, we were 4th and 10. The play call got written up seconds before that play. It was a play that Adoree Jackson had never run, that he had never practiced, never done anything before. And it's basically like, right, we've got no one else doing anything. Right, I know. You go out and catch a ball. I'm a corner. Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Go catch. I mean, come on.
It was bizarre.
Give your big number 1 round receiver a chance.
Oh, actually, this is something I want to bring up for the Titans as well, because I read this earlier. What happened to those receivers that you used for the first 3 games of the season and apparently buried? What was it? Your receiver.
Matthews has been injured.
I know Matthews has been injured.
There's Taiwan Taylor's just a go route guy, basically.
Yeah, but they haven't used him.
No, we've not used him properly. He's been another Kendall Wright.
So he's another Kendall Wright. There's the other guy.
Who?
Oh, go through your receivers. Rashard Matthews.
Eric Decker.
Corey Davis.
Rashard Matthews.
Yeah, but you're basically...
You're thinking of Johnny Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't used him. Delaney's been healthy, so we haven't used him.
What, in 2 tight end sets? That's just stupid.
Yeah, the Titans aren't smart with play calling.
No, they really
We've gathered
aren't.
this much.
But no, I can see the Titans losing this.
I can see them losing. I can, but I do think we'll get the win.
So what's next?
The next game is a cursed game for one of the teams. It's the biggest game of this week. It's the Patriots versus the Steelers.
Yes.
However, there's a big problem with this game. The Dolphins have screwed the Steelers.
What? Because the Pats never lose twice in a row.
They have never lost 2 games on the trot. Ever. With Tom Brady under centre. Ever.
I'm sure they have.
Nope. They bring up the statistic all the time.
Yeah, they have.
They have.
I think it's been like 5 years or something. Something stupid like that.
It's not happened recently, but that's because they've lost very rarely in the regular season.
The key thing is with the Patriots is Tom Brady has the Steelers' defense number. He did back in the day, even when they had Polamalu and that ridiculously good D. Lacking talent now. Obviously, Shazir's out.
It's still a talented group.
Oh, I'm not saying they're not, but it's Tom Brady. The Steelers, on the other hand, could potentially outscore the Patriots, but the Steelers' offense seems to misfire a lot this season.
Yeah, they've relied a lot on Antonio Brown bailing out. It has been Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, like, just for most of the year. And Bell will be the focal point, like he usually is when they've played the Steelers the last few times.
Yeah.
I thought the Steelers again played down to their opponent on Monday.
They have done all year.
The Shazier loss concerns me. It was one of the worst defensive performances we've seen from the Steelers. They looked undisciplined. They looked confused at times. And that's got to be concerning. And I think this current scheme they're running is better suited to beating Tom Brady than, the zone blitz. Because to beat Brady, you just rush 4 linemen and you do all those things. And that when Shazier's there, they've got the personnel to do that. I just think with Shazier being missing, I think it kills them in this one. As Pats look very much out of sorts on Monday, but they'll have Gronk back. I think Antonio Brown is ridiculous and could win the game by himself the way he's playing, but I think the Pats will win this one.
I can't.
I've got the Steelers winning this one. More just for the fact of they've managed to win these big games this year, and I just think they're going to clinch that number 1 seed. And I think we've said all year that
was when the Steelers lost to the Jags, was on this team.
Yeah, I've just.
Then I suppose
I don't know that loss against Miami. I just think that showed a lot of holes in that team. I mean, yeah, they didn't have Gronk in that game, but I still think it showed a lot of holes. And we know this team.
I've been saying all year this Patriots team is merely solid, but they've got Brady and Belichick. It's certainly one. It's not a vintage Patriots team by any stretch of the imagination, but I still think they'll get it done.
I think they'll get it done just because haven't lost 2 on the trot in nearly 5 years, and they're 10-2 against the Steelers. If Shazier
was in the team, if Shazier was playing, I'd be very happy and confident with picking the Steelers to win.
And we also need to point out there's a chance Shazier never returns to the football field.
There is indeed, which is a shame because he's a lot of fun to watch. Really good player, and obviously horrible circumstance.
Indeed. The last game.
The Sunday night game.
For Sunday.
Last game of Sunday.
Is either irrelevant or important, depending, I guess, which way you're hoping, is Cowboys at the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, it's important in a way. One of these teams' season officially ends this Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Or potentially both.
If they tie, yes.
No. Even if the Cowboys win and the Falcons and the Panthers win, the Cowboys are eliminated regardless.
They're not.
There they are.
They're not, because they'll be 8-6. They'll still have the potential to.
Yeah, but the Panthers.
It's the same as the Packers.
The Panthers will be. I'm assuming the Panthers beat the Packers in this scenario. Carolina will be 10-4. Atlanta will be 9-5 with a really easy schedule left.
Yeah, but it doesn't eliminate them.
Effectively, it does.
That's why I said neither of these teams. Well, neither of these teams can afford a loss. I still don't think either of them makes the. Neither of these teams is impressive enough to me, especially the Raiders. I mean,
the Raiders have just stunk all year. They've had a couple of impressive-looking wins, but for the majority, they've stunk. I think
the last couple of 5-6 weeks, they've just been bad.
I think the Raiders and the Titans are in similar boats. Start the season, looked good on paper, there were hopes for them. The only difference being is the Titans have eked out wins through sheer force of the running game, which the Raiders haven't been able to do. And the Titans D stepped it up to a level I didn't think they could achieve this season.
The Raiders is just in their. I think their record is fair. They're a below average team to me. At the minute, they don't do anything particularly well. You know, this explosive, dynamic passing game they had last year has been nowhere to be seen for a combination of. I mean, the entire offense is not playing well, and defensively, you know, they are what I suspected. They're just not very good beyond a couple of players.
it is weird how the two quarterbacks who
they
had
got hammered by the Chiefs.
It is.
Yeah, the Chiefs went into that game as cold as any team in the league, and they got handled.
I mean, the two teams that had their quarterbacks get injured with a broken leg, and how disappointed both of those quarterbacks have been this year.
Yes, it is. Don't break your leg, apparently. But
Yeah,
the Cowboys,
I mean, both of them.
The Cowboys looked quite good last week, but
Yeah, I mean, I think the Cowboys will win this game.
Giants.
Keep the momentum going for when Zeke comes back.
I think so. Dak seems to have figured things out a little bit in the last couple of games after sort of having to adjust. I think
the O-line has definitely looked better as well over the last few weeks. It was struggling for a while there.
It has helped. Morris has done a reasonable job filling in. Defensively, they've still got they've got a good pass rush.
Yeah.
Surely back in the fold.
As you said last week as well, that defense is completely different with Sean Lee there.
Oh yeah, people really do underestimate the importance of some of these linebackers, like your shot caller. Yeah. You look at the Panthers without Kuechly, not the same team at all, as we've seen over the years. Sean Lee, Ryan Shazier, these guys, they're important.
Yeah.
And Sean Lee is a lot of fun to watch. I really don't like the Cowboys because, they're the Cowboys, but man, Sean Lee's good at this game. And so, we all got the Cowboys then?
Yeah.
No, I've got the Raiders pulling off a win somehow.
Fair enough. So, finishing up with the Monday Night Football game. John Gruden returning to Tampa, where he led that glorious 2002 team to a Super Bowl win. Just got to throw that out there. Got something.
You are aware, if it weren't for the fact that you yourself support the Buccaneers, this would get the same treatment the Eagles-Giants game got, right? Falcons win, move on.
Bucks might make it close. They've been good at keeping these games close this year. Like, this is the thing. As bad as this Buccaneers team has been, oddly, they don't get blown out very much.
But you're still a bad team.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are a bad team.
Don't get me wrong, I need the Bucks to pull out a miracle and win. You have not got a hope in hell of winning this game.
I wouldn't go that far. Again, I think you're the one person who really does believe in this Falcons team.
Hold on.
I really don't.
Hold on. Arnie, were you with me on this?
Win last week against the Saints. They barely beat us when they played us and we had Ryan Fitzpatrick starting, although Fitzpatrick probably played better than Jameis this year. But that's irrelevant. They struggled to beat us last time around. The only reason, Julio went ham in that one. But they weren't very impressive.
Well, hold on. Let's get something straight.
Did you watch them last week against the Saints? That wasn't a scary team.
Hold on. You can't turn around and say the Falcons struggled to beat you when you let a wide receiver put up 250 yards.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
Every now and then, something like that happens. That's because this team can't pass rush. I don't know if Gerald McCoy's going to be playing, so
Not
Who
even,
knows?
Yeah, it's looking unlikely.
who knows how much time
not
Matt
even
Ryan's
the
gonna have.
Titans gave up 250 yards against Deshaun Watson when they had, when Deshaun Watson was healthy.
Right. Frankly, I'm sure Arnie would have took giving up 250 yards to DeAndre Hopkins rather than what actually happened to them in that game.
Yeah.
That doesn't really work as an analysis.
I don't care.
I would have taken a lot of other things than what happened to us in that game.
Yeah, like the team not turning up. Oh wait, you didn't. Anyway,
The Falcons aren't particularly impressive. I think if the Bucks play a clean game, and that's the thing that with Jameis has been such a challenge for this team, is playing a clean game. I mean, they had 5 turnovers last week and still only lost by 3 points.
against a fairly mediocre Lions team.
I put the Falcons in that same bracket. I really don't.
No, the Falcons are better than the Lions.
Maybe slightly. But
They just are. But as I said, I said what I said. You haven't got a hope in hell. You really don't.
I don't want to go that far.
I would. Your team is bad. Like bottom 5 bad.
They're not the bottom 5 bad. They're sloppy.
No, they're not.
They've got too much talent to be bottom 5 bad. And they show that talent in spurts.
They're not bottom 5 bad. You just.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at bottom 5 bad. You're looking at the Browns. You're looking at the Giants. The Niners.
I would take the Niners over you at this point.
Have you watched the Niners this year?
I have. I'd still
The
take.
Niners are the opposite of the Bucks. The Niners have very little, but they've got a good coaching staff getting the most out of their guys. I've been very critical of the Bucks coaching staff, but the talent is there in Tampa. This is just a sloppy team.
Yeah, I've got the Falcons winning this game. I mean, I just can't. I can't.
Game. It has to happen.
I can't take the Bucks over the Falcons. I just can't.
Now we're putting John Gruden in the Ring of Honor. Last time we put a player in the Ring of Honor, right, on Monday Night Football, we were 0-8.
Man,
or were we
really
0-10? I can't even remember. It was that game against the Dolphins, and we won.
You're really clinging.
Huh?
You're clinging to false hope now, man.
Ring of Honor, it motivates. And I also don't rate this Falcons team. So I feel the sooner that they can be eliminated from realistic playoff contention, the better it is for teams.
I just can't. I can't see it, man. Sorry.
No.
It's fair. The Bucks have to earn respect from people, and this year they certainly have not.
Your offense has the potential, and we've said this all year, has the potential to be a really, really good offense. You've got 2 lazy-ass receivers. Your quarterback's hot and cold. Your running game is questionable.
Hey,
and your O-line is a shit.
We found our running back, maybe, if they decide to give him the ball.
It's still questionable until I've seen otherwise. And your O-line has been pretty garbage.
And
don't forget the defense.
And then you flip it to the other side.
Your tight end, okay, granted, your tight ends have been fucking awesome.
The defense. Don't forget the defense.
I was going to flip it over to the defense, actually, because you've got no pass rush. Your linebackers are okay. You've got one decent, really good one. Your secondary's
I did actually see...
You've got great linebackers. Just the one bit of the defense is really good. The problem is...
I did see a stat during the Tennessee game.
Everything else sucks.
I did see a stat in the Tennessee game that was about the Bucks, actually. Because it was saying about the Tennessee Titans have had 17 sacks in 3 games.
Yeah, that's
more than the Bucks have had all year.
In the Bucks game.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah. As I've said, either Gerald McCoy gets the quarterback or no one does.
It's very un-Madden-like. You wouldn't be able to go at least 2 games without that sort of sack total.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Chandler Jones on his lonesome has more sacks than your entire team does.
No, Chandler Jones has 14, which does lead the league. So he gets 4
They have
more
16.
Now we're at 17 for the year.
Pretty sure. Maybe after this game, yeah. But you were at 16.
Sure we got 1. We might. Either way, we haven't hit 20.
It's still bad.
Either way,
Yeah.
your entire
Well,
D is being outplayed by one player.
Have I not been bemoaning the lack of pass rush like every single week?
Yeah.
Well, this
Other
is
than the first 2 games where we got reasonable.
well, this
pressure.
is why I say you don't have a hope in hell. If you can't pressure Matt Ryan, realistically, I mean, come on, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have old man Grimes
might get
run.
last week's version of Matt Ryan that just throws picks that he's telegraphing to Julio Jones.
You guys haven't been very good at stopping the run, and the Falcons have been decent enough at that.
And what are you gonna do against Julio? I'm sorry, but what are you gonna do against Julio this time, man? You have old man Grimes in like an off zone, shading him, and then hoping that he doesn't throw to him.
No, as I said, we'll just hopefully we get last week's version of Matt Ryan who just stares Julio down on reception.
Yeah, but the thing is, he did that against you last time, and he went for what, 300 yards?
250.
Yeah, it was a lot though.
Let's get some.
Yeah.
Let's get
They
some.
also couldn't stop Ryan. You got to bear in mind, this is a team that couldn't stop a Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Well, let's get something straight. Matt Ryan could stare down your all of his receivers all game, and your secondary will still do diddly poo to stop it.
Diddly poo.
We will see. We'll see.
Right, are we done bashing the Bucks?
For now.
I was nice to your team this week.
My team has a better record than yours.
I said sorry before I said you were going to lose.
I've been saying coaching has been a big problem in Tampa this year.
Yeah.
It's always fun to rib on the host's team. It's fun.
You just rib on a lot of teams.
Just you wait until, Bruce Arians retires at the end of the year.
Yep.
And then you guys bring in Jeff Fisher.
No, I'm not going to bring in Jeff Fisher. What's going to happen?
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm calling it now.
No, wait, hold on. Don't say it.
I know what they're going to do.
Don't say it.
I know what they're going to do.
Don't say it.
He'll retire. Jeff Fisher will come in. The Titans will fire Terry Robitsky, and then Terry Robitsky will be their offensive coordinator
with Drew Stanton in a QB battle
and their running game. And then you can feel my pain for the last 8 years in one season.
But the fact that the Titans
and Ken Wisenhunt might come back as well.
I knew you were going to.
Actually, no, he did. He did good for you.
He's doing a good job this year, Wisenhunt.
Yeah,
he's good as an offensive coordinator, but just not as a head coach.
Wisenhunt's the most successful Cardinals head coach in history.
Yeah, for 1 year.
That's not saying a huge amount, though.
No, and anyway, Arnie, you can't say anything. Your GM's already come out and said your coaching staff are safe for next year.
I know.
Have fun with that.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Anyway, let's wrap this up now.
So, yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. A few interesting tangents this week.
I just want to comment on one thing before we go off, right? And it's how much of the nicest quarterback in the world and / most boring quarterback that the Tennessee Titans have.
Yeah, the word you're looking for is most boring.
Yeah, but also nicest.
Competition with Matt Ryan.
Because this week he after his press conference he got really irate. Like I mean I've never heard such language come out of a quarterback before. And he said the words, he was pissed off. Now he had to apologise to the media for this performance, and his mum had a go at him.
It says so much about your team.
And that's why your quarterback is the most boring man in the world. Or at least he's in competition with Matt Ryan.
He could be like the nicest man in the world for all we know.
It can be nice, you can still be boring.
Yeah.
Anyway, I, to be honest with you, I was waiting the entire podcast for Arnie to bring that up.
I had to bring it up.
No. Well, that's that note. So we'll have some special stuff for the playoffs, as we mentioned previously. As always, like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon and all that good stuff. Do you guys want to say bye? No? Cool. Well, thanks for watching. Tune in next week. We'll have the usual Bucks banter, maybe a Titans talk. We'll see how things go. And we'll do this again, probably Wednesday or Thursday. So have a good one and go Bucks.